Welcome to Bible Time. This is the Believer's Fellowship Daily Bible Reading, and this is a little commentary that I add on to it. And I was thinking about this, that if it wasn't for coronavirus, we wouldn't be having Bible Time. And so what seems to be a terrible thing, a big inconvenience, a tremendous restriction, really in many ways has opened up other doors and other opportunities and pushed us in ways to do ministry that we weren't doing before and maybe would have never thought of doing before. But we've been doing this now for some time, and we've been enjoying going through the Old Testament together, learning things that maybe we weren't so familiar with because they're in a part of the Bible that we don't spend much time in. And so I think this has been a great benefit. I know I'm benefiting from it, and I trust that you are as well. And today we come to 2 Kings chapters 11 and 12. And sometimes when you read portions of the Bible, like these two chapters, it kind of reads like a movie. Who could make this stuff up? But this is reality. This is what really happened. Ahaziah, the king of Judah, was killed along with the king of Israel. And so now his mother, Athaliah, she wants to assume command of Judah. And so she has all the royal family executed. Now, you got to remember Athaliah, she's a daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab, the most wicked of all the wicked kings of Israel, and Jezebel, maybe the most wicked woman in all of Israel. And for some reason, she married into the royalty of Judah, and she's the mother of Ahaziah, and she wants to take over. And she has contributed to the southern kingdom, Judah, joining the northern kingdom in the worship of Baal. So she tries to wipe out all the royal family so that she can take over, and she thinks that she has. And for 6 years, she reigns as the queen of Judah. Only queen in the history of Judah. She reigns as the queen of Judah, but there was one offspring, a little baby named Joash, who was preserved by a woman named Jehosheba. She tucked him away safely, removed her so that Athaliah didn't know about him, couldn't find him, didn't kill him. And she took care of him and kept him alive. And Jehoshaphat happens to be married to Jehoiada, the priest at the time. And here's where the story really gets incredible. So when Joash is 7 years old, he is made king of Judah. And you can read the account. They set it all up. They pronounce him as king. Jehoiada anoints him. And Athaliah obviously objects to that. And ironically, she accuses them of treason. Really, she's the one that's guilty. And she winds up getting executed as a result. And Joash, or Jehoash, both names are used here, it becomes the king in Judah. And they have this ceremony. Verse 12 of chapter 11 talks about how he was given the testimony, which would mean he was given a copy of the law. As Deuteronomy 17 says, the king is to have a copy of the law. He's to read from it every day, and he is to rule based on the principles that are in the law. Verse 17 talks about a covenant that's made, probably a renewal of the Davidic covenant, because Joash is a descendant of David. There's kind of a spirit of renewal amongst the people, and the exhortation is, be the Lord's people. That's a great exhortation for you and me today. Be the Lord's people. Represent him. Serve him. Honor him. And they tore down the house of Baal, which Athaliah had been a part of promoting, and they killed the priest of Baal. And it says that Joash in chapter 12, verse 2, that he did what was right. And he did that as long as Jehoiada was there to instruct him. Now, we're not going to get all the details here in 2 Kings, but when you get to 2 Chronicles, chapters 23 and 24, you're going to read a lot more about Joash. But during this time, he has the temple repaired, apparently under Athaliah. It hadn't been well cared for, so he sets up a means. It takes a while for that actually to happen, but you can see that's part of the renewal that's happening here, mostly under the leadership of the priest Jehoiada. But then you can see as it gets near the end of his life, They're threatened by Hazael, the king of Aram or Syria. And so he goes into the temple of the Lord, takes out all the valuables, gives them to Hazael, so that Hazael will leave him alone and go back to Syria, and leaving Jerusalem untouched. And so that's a huge compromise on the part of Joash. And you can see that his life has a tragic end. Yeah, he's assassinated, as we see here, and as you're going to see in Second Chronicles, he got off into the worship of false gods. So here's the lesson for you and me. This is a Wednesday edition of Bible Time. Here's something for us to think about in the middle of the week. Joash started off so good. He was discipled by Jehoiada. He did what was right. He cared about the temple. He cared about the worship of God. But as time went on, he drifted. He drifted into the worship of false gods. He started compromising on the things of God and wound up tragically losing his life. Here's something that the Bible warns you and me about continually. It's not so much how well you start off in following the Lord, it's how you finish. A lot of people seem to start off, but they fall away. We've been learning about that in Hebrews. They fall away. They drift away. They don't hold on tight. They don't have an anchor for their soul, and so they drift away. And that's tragically what you see in Joash. Started good, didn't finish so good. We see that in the church today as well. What about you? What about me? What are you doing to keep running strong and fast after the Lord? What are you doing to maintain your focus on the Lord and to live for Him and to not compromise? That's a good thing for you and me to meditate on this Wednesday in the middle of the week. And I trust that you're going to be a part of a fellowship group this week, and you're going to be involved not only in being encouraged, but encouraging one another in the Lord. That's so important for us to do. So thanks for joining us today. Like I said, I'm really enjoying doing these Bible times together, and we'll see you tomorrow for even more Bible time.